Welcome back to another episode of The John, your daily sports dump, where we plunge into the sports world. We are a sports pipeline for breaking news, game recaps, and the hottest takes in the sports industry. So while taking care of business, let us switch out the details and fill you in on what's happening. So take a seat, get comfortable, and make sure you have plenty of TP. It's time to explode the commode. I'm your host, John, and today, guys, I think the best time to be a baseball fan, to be a sports fan, has come upon us. We are finally in postseason baseball. October baseball is coming, and the MLB Postseason bracket has officially been made, and on this podcast, I'm gonna give you guys my picks and who I think will be ultimately the World Series champion. So, let's start off here first. In the American League, we're gonna start with the Cleveland Guardians versus the Detroit Tigers. Now, going into the postseason, if you would have told me this a month ago, 2 months ago even, it was the Tigers versus Guardians, I would say the Tigers would win by a landslide. But Tigers had an insane collapse. They got the last wild card spot, and the Guardians just won the division because of how terribly the Tigers played in the end of the year. And honestly, I think that's going to continue. I think the Guardians are going to win this one, and it's not going to be too close. Guardians lineup, I think, has played a lot better. Their pitching has been a lot better than a lot of people, including myself, thought it was going to be. In the Tigers, you guys had an amazing start to the year. Riley Green having a career year. Torkelson starting to figure stuff out. You know what you got with Scoobo. Casey Mize starting to figure stuff out. You re-signed Jack Flaherty, and Jack Flaherty did not do what he was supposed to do, what he did with the Dodgers last year to really help them win that World Series. And I don't think they can match the Guardians. I think the Guardians are going to the ALDS and playing the Mariners. Now, this next one I was tossing and turning with, and I had to put my hatred for the Yankees aside in this series, but I don't see how the Yankees beat the Red Sox. I don't. I understand, yes, the Yankees have home field advantage, and this is a huge rivalry, and this is going to add to it, right, because you're playing in the playoffs. It's even more electric. But Roman Anthony played amazing since they called him up. Ceddanne Rafaela, they don't have a superstar, right? Trevor Story's played well this year. Bregman. The Red Sox have Garrett Crochet is their ace of the staff, along with Brian Bayo is a great number two. The Red Sox don't have a superstar like the Yankees have an Aaron Judge and a Giancarlo Stanton and all of those Garrett Cole. Right? I know Garrett Cole isn't playing, but just an example, right? A guy like that. They have a Garrett Crochet, but they don't have a crazy superstar. I think Roman Anthony is that, and Roman showed in the little regular season time that he got, he is the truth. And I think the Red Sox beat the Yankees. I think the Yankees, after Max Fried, I don't really trust Carlos Rodon. I don't trust this bullpen. You made multiple acquisitions at the end of the deadline, and those didn't really turn out well. Devin Williams has been a shell of himself since he's been a Yankee. Bednar is nothing special. Duvall, who they got from the Giants, is nothing special. And the Red Sox, you give that ball to Chapman, you're winning that game. And I believe in the Red Sox. I believe in everything that Core is bringing this team. I believe in this young, exciting team that they have. And I don't see how they lose this series. And I really think it's that much of a landslide. I think the Red Sox win that one. So I got the Red Sox going up against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays win that. I'm not even thinking about that. Blue Jays, even though you lose Bo Bichette, that's a big loss. I understand that. But Bo Bichette, yeah, he was a great player, and I don't really trust the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm really skeptical of them because, especially with they're still relatively. There's a lot of these guys that are not right on the team that are elite guys that have played a lot in the postseason. You have George Springer, but that's really it. That's your only really seasoned vet, Kevin Gausman, but he hasn't done much in the postseason when he's been there. But George Springer has been there, so if they are going to go, I think how George Springer goes. If George Springer plays well, this Blue Jays team has a very high chance of making it to the CS and the World Series, but I think they beat the Red Sox in 7. I really think it's that close of a series. Mariners beat the Guardians, and I don't think that is a crazy thing to say that at all. The Mariners, I feel like are the most underrated team in this whole postseason. Their starting pitching is one of the most underrated and best in the MLB. Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert. They have, just those two guys alone are insane, and this team is just getting better, and they finally have a legit offense to go with this great starters that they have and pitching rotation that they have. They got Munoz in the bullpen. They finally are starting to build a good lineup with this team, and that's something that they've always struggled with, right? We saw Julio Rodriguez really break out this year. They brought Eugenio Suarez back. You've sort of seen the emerge, right? J.P. Crawford has done a great job. Jorge Polanco has done a great job. Just Randy Arozarena has done another great job. Like, it's just Cal Raleigh. Like, there is so much offensive talent now on this Seattle team, and in the past years they haven't had that. And it really excites me, and I think they are legit this year. And I don't think the Guardians have just the star power to line up with them. And I think that's what makes them this will be a 1-2 battle in the CS. And guys, I'll tell you who's going to the World Series after I pick the NL, because the NL is crazy. The Mets, how do you not make the playoffs with a $379 million payroll? I don't understand that. The Reds also, even though good for them, I think they could maybe win one game against the Dodgers because of Hunter Green. The Reds were, I think, through their last 80 games, were 40-40. The Reds have done nothing to really make the playoffs. It was the Mets falling. The Reds have been an average team, and that's going to show. And the Dodgers are going to beat them bad. Like I said, I think the Reds could win one game because Hunter Green will be starting, but I don't see them winning a series. The Dodgers are going to win this series with ease, I think. And I hope I'm wrong, right? I don't like the Dodgers. I don't like that they keep on winning, but the Reds have shown me nothing special. Elly De La Cruz, yeah, he's going to be a superstar, but he strikes out way too much. He's too inconsistent. Hunter Green has been really good, but that's the only really bright spot for them on the mound, right? You can talk about Ashcraft, and you can talk about Lodolo had a great start to the year. But if you look, Ashcraft has gotten really lucky this year, and the reason why his ERA is so low is just because the balls have been hit right to people. If you look at his expected ERA, it's like a 5 or a 4. So his Andrew Ashcraft's ERA, even though it's a 2, I think 3, I could be mistaken, is totally not proportionate to what it should be. It should be around a 4 or a 5. And against this Dodgers lineup that Shohei just hit 55 home runs. Freddie Freeman is still doing Freddie Freeman things, right? You got Max Muncy. You got Teoscar Hernandez. You got, Michael Conforto, even though he hasn't played too great. You got, there is so much talent on this Dodgers team I don't see. And then this lineup. This starters, right? You got Yamamoto, who's had an amazing second sophomore year. You got Glasnow, who's been amazing, right? You have Kershaw, right? You're going to have him out of the bullpen, even though he's not what he used to be. He's Clayton Kershaw, and he shows up in the playoffs. They have been nothing short of exceptional, and I think they're going to continue that, and they're going to beat the Reds, and they're going to play the Phillies in the NLDS. As for the Cubs, Padres, the Padres are not a wild card team. The Padres could be a division winner in any other division, but they have the Dodgers in their division. The Padres have 2-3 superstars in Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, and I could say, arguably, I think Jackson Merrill's a superstar in this league. That's a great big three. Gavin Sheets has been a great addition for them. Luis Arias, you know what he does in the front of the lineup. You know what you're getting from Xander Bogaerts now that he's starting to play like an actual baseball player. And their rotation is the big question mark, right? Can Nick Pivetta, can Dylan Cease, Dylan Cease especially is the real one. And you know what you're getting with Yu Darvish. You know what you're getting with Ranger Suarez. You know what you're getting out of that bullpen. You know you're going to have a good bullpen. It's the starters. The starting rotation is the biggest question mark for them. But they're going up against a Cubs team that really has been struggling. And I want this to be said now and on this podcast so you guys know that I said this. The Cubs have had a great season. Terrible second half. And Pete Crow-Armstrong's 30-30 season is one of the most fraudulent 30-30 seasons I have ever seen. Pete Crow-Armstrong, at the end of the first half, was considered an MVP level candidate. Since then, he's had 5 home runs and barely got to 30-30. He got 30-30 with 2 games left in the season. His 30-for-30 is one of the most fraudulent ones. And I think Pete Crow-Armstrong has a strikeout issue. And now that the MLB guys have started to see him more, and they're starting to expose him, and it's going to be exposed more because now the Cubs don't have Cade Horton, who has been their best pitcher all year. Your ace is gone. He's fractured his rib, so they need to beat the Padres without their ace of the staff. I don't think they can do that because, like, you guys know this. I think I think Shota is a great number 2 option, but he's not an ace. He's not an ace in this league, and it'll show against the Padres. And I think the Padres walk into Chicago and win it in 2. I don't think that the Cubs win a game against the Padres. That's how confident I am in the San Diego Padres and how much of an effect Cade Horton being hurt has on the Cubs, right? Cubs, their bullpen, iffy. Their starting lineup is good. Kyle Tucker has been disappointment. Seiya Suzuki has been good. Matt Shaw has been good. Michael Busch has been good. Dansby Swanson has been okay. But they don't have anyone that jumps out on me on this lineup, and I'm really struggling to say, can that compete with the Padres? I don't think so. I really don't. And I think the Padres are going to play the Brewers, and I think the Brewers are gonna show up finally in the playoffs. Even though I do not believe in them, and I have prior proof in the past few years that they are going to blow in the postseason. I think this year is different. The hype around this team is legit. They maintained the 1 seed after everyone thought they were not going to. They were going to blow it. They were going to do something and blow it at the end of the year. They were able to maintain the 1 seed, get it throughout the whole season. They were really at the top the whole second half, it felt like. And the Padres, I like the Padres a lot. I'm really high on them. But do I think they can beat the Brewers? I mean, Freddie Peralta's had a career year. You're having a bounce back, sort of coming out party for Quinn Priester. Andrew Vaughn has been, that trade for my White Sox looks terrible. Every day it gets worse and worse. You have Christian Yelich, you have Jackson Chourio, you have Monasterio, you have Sal Frelick, you have all of these solid guys that know how to do and play their position how they're supposed to, and they're finally starting to do that this year, and it's starting to all click. And I really think this is the year they're going to the NLCS, baby, and they're going to be playing the Phillies. And you might be thinking, the Dodgers, really? Yeah, Kyle Schwarber's legit. I know that this is going to be. I think this series against the Phillies and the Dodgers, it's going to 7. Especially with the Phillies not having Zach Wheeler, that's a really big hit to them. But I mean, this Phillies offense: Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber had a career year. Nick Castellanos is still doing his thing. Like, this team is finally starting to fill out and reach the offensive potential that they have been built to do. Right? Brandon Marsh having a good year, a solid year in the outfield. Right? Alec Boehm, solid. Right? And the only question mark that I have with them is their bullpen. I don't trust this bullpen a lot at all. There's so many question marks. They don't have a right. Jordan Romano was supposed to be that guy in the pen for them, and he hasn't done much. But this Phillies rotation the starting rotation is something that I really want to focus on here. This rotation, I think, is 1 and 2, 1A, 1B with the Seattle Mariners. Ranger Suarez, think about this. A healthy, obviously, right, we know Zach Wheeler's not playing. But, right, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, and then you have a dude who sort of came on out of really nowhere this year. And Christopher Sanchez, Christopher Sanchez this year has been underrated, right? They signed Walker Buehler. They finally made a trade for Johan Duran to sort of shore up that bullpen. But the question mark that I was talking about in their bullpen is in that sort of long relief, middle relief guy, right? Can you trust Tanner Banks? Can you trust Tayon Walker? There's a lot of guys that I don't know how I feel about them. I don't know how they can be in the playoffs in this season. I mean, this Phillies team is built, right? You got Stott. There's a bunch of weapons on this team, and I feel like this is a year, and I'm confident enough to say I think they're going to beat the Brewers in the NLCS, and I think they're going to the World Series. And you know who I think they're playing? I think they're playing the Seattle Mariners in this World Series. Pitching wins baseball games, and that's what both of these teams have. The Phillies with one of the best starting line rotations, I think, in baseball, and Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, Jesus Luzardo, Aaron Nola, and Walker Buehler. Yeah, Walker Buehler is not what he used to be in a sense of, right, an ace of the staff, that what he was for the what he was for the Dodgers last year, right? He's not going to come in and make a huge impact on the game and be a impact starter and a huge starter, right, for them. He's not going to do that. We know that. We saw that earlier this year. But, I mean, this Mariners roster, I think, is so built to make a run at the World Series. I think they could arguably win it. You have the best player in baseball. You have Bryce Miller. You have George Kirby. You have Logan Gilbert. You have Luis Castillo. You have Brian Wu, who's come out of nowhere this year and has been amazing. You have, obviously, Cal Raleigh. You still got Mitch Garver on the bench as well. Like, I'm looking at this roster right now, guys, and you got Naylor at first. You have Jorge Polanco. You have Suarez. You have Mastroboni. You have, Arozarena, Robles coming off the bench. Like, guys, this team for the Mariners is so good. It's something I cannot preach to you guys enough, that starting rotation will be the story of this postseason. And I think that is what is going to be the thing that brings the Phillies and the Mariners to meet in the World Series. And I think the Mariners get their first World Series and win the World Series. I think it's going to go 7, though. I really do. I think, especially with how good and even these rotations and lineups match up to each other, it has to go 7, especially with how these teams match up against each other. But I think the Mariners win the World Series, and I think they win their first ever World Series. And I think Julio Rodriguez is the World Series MVP, not Cal Raleigh, even though Cal Raleigh, this is a topic for a later discussion, but you guys know how I feel about this. Cal Raleigh is the MVP of the league. I think Julio Rodriguez makes some big plays in the World Series and wins it for him there. But, guys, that's all I had for today's episode on the John, your daily sports dump, where I give you guys my postseason/World Series predictions. It was a little bit of a longer episode, guys. I want to apologize for that. You know, you guys know this is a rare sort of longer episode where I'm predicting the postseason. It's going to go a little longer than expected. But, guys, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the John, your daily sports dump, where I give you guys my World Series and MLB postseason predictions. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for sports updates and hot takes in real time. Join me next time on the John, your daily sports dump, where I'll give you guys a stool of solid sports predictions. Until then, keep your game face on and stay regular. This is the John.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 35, 45 minutes. Somebody open the window.